Okay, so here we are in 10.5 part 2, jumping back to number 12. I did 1 through 11. On part 1 I did 1 through 11 and then 16 and 17. So now I'm going to jump back to 12. So basically what you should do first on this one is break down that 45. It's 5 times 9, 3 times 3. So basically that becomes a square root of 5 times 3 times 3 times z. And then we have it's a 2. There's what's in the hook here? Nothing, which means 2, really. 2 for 1 deal. 2 3's in, 1 3 out. They're gone. So we end up with 1 over 3 square root 5z. Okay, so we first simplify that. Take any pairs out. The 2 3's sent 1 3 out, and they're gone. So now we have this. Now, to get rid of the square root from the bottom, multiply the top and the bottom by root of 5z. So on the top, 1 times root 5z is just root 5z. On the bottom, we have a 3, and then root 5z, that's plain 5z, because again, that's 2 5z's in a root leads to 1 5z out of a root. Remember, it's a 2 for 1 deal when there's nothing in the hook, which really means 2 in the hook. So 2 for 1 deal. And so the final step on that would come down, that would be root 5z. And the bottom, 3 times 5, 15z. There we go. We can't cancel anything because the z and the 5 on the top are insiders. They're in the root. And the 15 and the z on the bottom are outsiders. They're not in the root. So there's no interaction. They're in different worlds. They can't cancel. Let's go on to number 13. Okay, so number 13. So it's all about getting the root out of the bottom. So let's start by breaking down the bottom, being super clear what's in that denominator. So that 25 is 5 times 5, and that x squared is x times x. Okay. Now, notice what's in the hook. Let me draw that a little better in the hook there. Notice what's in the hook. There's a 3 in the hook. So that means he's a 3 for 1 deal. He's a 3 shipper. So you give him 3 of anything in here, and he'll ship 1 out. So we've got to make there be 3 of everything. Right now there's 2 5s. So we got to give it 1 more 5, then there'll be 3 5s, and it can ship 1 out. There's also 2 x's. So we got to put 1 more x in the bottom, then there'll be 3 x's, then it can ship 1 out because it's a 3 for 1 deal. So multiply top and bottom by cube root of 5x. All right, so what are we going to get when we do that? That's going to be 1, 2, 3 5s on the bottom. That'll ship 1 5 out, and 1, 2, 3 x's on the bottom. That'll ship 1 x out. No more root on the bottom. That was our goal, to get rid of the root from the bottom. Everything shipped out cleanly because we made there be 3 5s and 3 x's. On the top, you just multiply those things together. Put them all in one root. What do you got? 5 times 7, 35, xy squared. We're done. Nothing more can come out of the top because there's not 3 of anything. So the top just stays as it is. There has to be 3 x's or 3 y's or 3 numbers to come out of the top, and there isn't. We're done. What did we do? We got rid of the root from the bottom. Okay, so on this one, first step is to break down that 256. That'd be 2 times 128, 2 times 64, 8 times 8, and each of those is 3 2's. All right, so what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2's. So that's going to be 4th root of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2's. On the top, the bottom is the 4th root. Now 9 is 2 3's, and x cubed is 3 x's. Okay, so let's be clear what we have on the top and the bottom. Now, this is the 4 is in the hook. So this is a 4 for 1 deal. 4 2's inside, ship 1 2 out, 4 more 2's, ship another 2 out, and they multiply. So that gives, let me bring it over here. On the top, that's 2 times 2, 4, and there's no more root because these 4 are gone. They shipped out a single 2. And these 4 are gone. They shipped out a single 2. Right? Because a 4-for-1 deal. 4 for 1 shipper. So it's just 2 times 2, 4. Now on the bottom, we still have 4th root of 3, 3xxx, because there's not 4 of anything on the bottom. So nothing can ship out. Now, we need to get rid of the root from the bottom. Currently, there's 2 3s. So we need to give 2 more 3s. So that'll be 4 3s. Currently, there's 3 x's. Give 1 more x. That'll make 4. So do you see what I'm doing there? 3 times x. 9x if you want. I'm doing that. Why am I doing that? Why am I multiplying top and bottom by that? Because now on the bottom we're going to have, let me show you, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 3s. 4 3s. Right? He's a 4 in the hook, so 4 for 1 deal, 4 shipper. He'll ship out a single 3. And how many x's do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. He'll ship out a single x. So on the bottom we'll just have 3x, no more root. We got rid of the root from the bottom by making there be 4 of everything inside the root and ship them all out. What happens on the top? 4 times the 4th root, times this, of 3 times 3, just make that back into 9x. There we go. So we got rid of the root from the bottom. Nothing more can cancel, right? I cannot cancel that x with that x or the 3 with the 9 because they're in different worlds. The one on the top is in a root. The one on the bottom is outside of the root. In jail. This one up here is in jail and he's out of jail. So no crossing the line there. No interaction. We're done right there. Okay, so the first thing to do here on number 15 is to break down the inside and ship out anything we can. 8, that's 2 times 2 times 2. A to the 8th, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 A's. And B to the 12th, that's 12 B's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we're going to ship things out. He's a 5 shipper. So 5 A's, there we go. Ship out 1 A and they're gone, leaving 3 extra A's. 5 B's, ship out a B and they're gone, and these 5 B's ship out a B and they're gone. Alright, so what do we have left? So now we have 3A on the top. On the bottom we have ABB, in other words AB squared, times the 5th root of what's left inside. 2, 2, 2, let me write that, 2, 2, 2, 3 A's, A, and BB, BB. So there's all the stuff we have left inside. Now, our job is to get rid of the root from the bottom. So how are we going to get rid of the root? Well, he's a 5 shipper. He's a 5 for 1 deal. So we got to make there be 5 of everything. Right now we have 3 2's. So we're going to have to put 2 more 2's. That'll be 5 2's and 1 will ship out. We have 3 A's. We got to put 2 more A's. That'll be 5 A's and 1 will ship out. We have 2 B's. We have to put 3 more B's. That'll be 5 B's and 1 will ship out. Do the same thing on the top that you do on the bottom. A, B, B, B. Because you got to treat the top and the bottom the same. Okay, what happens? On the bottom we have AB squared, and then we have 5 2's all together, ships out a single 2. In fact, I'm just going to put that 2 in the front, probably. And then what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's, ships out an A, and 5 B's, ships out a B. On the top, we just have 3A multiplies that. So 3A times the 5th root of, and just put these back together. 2 times 2 is 4, A squared, B cubed. Finally, last step, we can clean up things. This A cancels that A. They're both outsiders, so they can cancel. So what are we left with? 3, 5th root of 4, A squared, B cubed on the bottom, 2 b squared and b, that's 2ab cubed, right? 2a, this other a is canceled. B squared and one more b is b cubed. There we go. There's the final answer. That's a hard one. Okay, so here we are in number 18. So now this one's going to be different because we have a square root and a plus or minus in the bottom. So let me write some instructions. When square root and plus or minus in the denominator, what do you got to do? Multiply top and bottom by what's called the conjugate, which is the whole denominator opposite sign in the middle. So I'm going to multiply by the exact denominator but the opposite sign in the middle. So it actually turns out to be the same as the numerator by coincidence. So we're using the denominator with the opposite sign in the middle. That's how you handle it when you have a square root and a plus or minus in the bottom. That's what's different. Like you look back at 17 or 15, I guess. See how we had we had square root in the bottom, but no plus or minus anywhere. Same thing, number 14, square root, no plus or minus. 13, square root, no plus or minus. So that's the difference. When you have a square root and a plus or minus, they're glued together. Remember, pluses and minuses glue together. So you got to use that whole denominator, top and bottom, with the opposite sign in the middle. That's called the conjugate. All right, so here we go. We're going to have to FOIL this, so this guy goes to both. Root 3, that's plane 3. Remember, 2 3's in, 1 3 out. There's nothing in these hooks, by the way. Nothing in any of these hooks, which means there's really a 2 in all these hooks. They're really square roots. So it's 2 for 1 deal. So root 3, 2 3's in, 1 3 out, minus root 6. That's because root 3 multiplied negative root 2. Positive times negative. And 3 times 2 is 6 in a root. So he's done. He went to both. Now the negative root 2 is going to go there and there. That would be negative root 6. And negative root 2, 2 negatives make positive. Root 2, plane 2. Or you could say root 4, which is plane 2. On the bottom, we're going to go to both. Root 3, plane 3. Root 3, root 2 minus root 6. And then this goes to both. Plus root 6, and then root 2 times negative positive root 2 times negative root 2 is negative root 2, plane 2, or you could say root 4, which is plane 2. Notice these cancel. See how we're getting rid of all the roots in the bottom? That's why we use the opposite signs. That makes sense? When you have plus, you use minus. That way you get one positive and one negative root, and the roots disappear from the bottom. Okay, so where does that leave us? We have 3 minus root 6 plus 2. Make that a little neater there. All over 3 minus 2. Well, that's just 1 on the bottom. So on the top, 3 and 2 makes 5. Minus 1 root 6 and minus 1 root 6 is minus 2 root 6. Combining like terms on the top. 3 minus 2 is 1 on the bottom, so you don't even need the bottom. We don't need 1s on the bottom. We don't show that. Dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. There's the answer. What did we accomplish? We started with roots on the bottom, and we got rid of them. There's not even a denominator anymore. There's no roots in the bottom. There's not even a bottom. Okay, number 19. So, same thing. We have square roots and plus or minus in the bottom. So you know what we do. We multiply top and bottom by the whole denominator but opposite sign in the middle, called the conjugate. Opposite sign in the middle. So here we go. We're going to FOIL the top. So now what happens? What's the rule when we multiply root things? It's the jail rule. I told you about my father-in-law playing Sac State football and against the prison team. Insiders or outsiders. It makes a big difference whether you're really inside the prison or outside the prison. So outsiders multiply outsiders, and insiders multiply insiders. So root a is going to multiply 5 root a. That'll be 5 root a squared, right? The two a's multiply inside. Plus root a times root b is root of ab. He's done. Now the minus 2 will go to both. Minus 10 root a minus 2 root b. So there's the top. On the bottom, we're going to do that. So now 5 root a multiplies 5 root a. Outsider times outsider, 5 times 5 is 25, and a times a is a squared in the root, plus 5 root ab, like that. He's done. Now this guy will go to both. Minus 5 root ab, and then minus root b times plus root b is minus root b squared. Or you could just make it b, right? Because root b is plain b. Good there? So now what happens? These guys cancel by design. That's always what the conjugate does. And this right here, this is going to be 25 plain a, right? Root of a squared, that's just plain a. Same thing here. This is going to be 5 plain a, root of a squared. So what do we got? We have got 5a plus root ab minus 10 root a. Well, I'm running out of room there. Let me squeeze that in a little bit better. So that's 5a plus root ab minus 10 root a minus 2 root b. On the bottom, it's just 25a minus b. And there's nothing more we can do. On the top, none of those are like terms. They're all different roots. In the bottom, nothing more. That's it. There's the answer. What did we do? We got rid of the roots from the bottom. See how there's no more roots on the bottom. Number 20. So I'm getting rid of the root from the bottom again. So multiply. See how it's got a root and a plus or minus. So I'm going to have to use the conjugate, which is the whole denominator, opposite sign in the middle. Multiply top bottom. So the 7 goes boom, boom. And you get 7 minus 7 root 7 on the bottom. Got to FOIL it. So on the bottom I'm going to have the 1 is going to go to both. 1 minus root 7. And then the root 7 is going to go to both. Plus root 7. And then root 7, it's positive root 7 times negative root 7 is negative. Root 7, that'll be plain 7, won't it? Root 7, plain 7. Okay, so what happens from here? These guys cancel by design. So we have 7 minus 7 root 7 over 1 minus 7. So bring that down here. That's 7 minus 7 root 7 over negative 6. And that's it. That's as far as we can go on number 21. What did we do? We got rid of the root from the bottom. Okay, 21. Again, we have a square root and a plus or minus. When you have a square root and a plus or minus, you need to get rid of got to use the conjugate, got to use the exact denominator, but opposite sign in the middle. So here we go. So we're going to now distribute on the top. So root A is plain A. Remember, 2 a's in a root, sends 1 out. Plus root ax. On the bottom, root A is plain A plus root ax minus root ax. And minus root x times minus root x times positive root x. Negative times positive is negative. Root x, plain x. Remember, 2 x's in roots lead to 1 x out. Okay? So now what happens? These cancel like conjugate always does. So that leaves us with a plus root ax over a minus x in the bottom, and we're done. It's as far as it can go. What did we accomplish? We got rid of the root from the bottom. Okay, so here we are. We're trying to get, we get roots and plus or minus signs in the denominator. So what does that mean we need to do? We got to use the conjugate. So we multiply, use the exact denominator, opposite sign in the middle, which makes it almost the same as the top. not quite. So here we go. So on the top, now remember, when we multiply, outsiders multiply outsiders, insiders multiply insiders. So this multiplies there. So 2 times 4 is 8, and inside root 4. And then this guy multiplies there. That 10's an outsider, so it'll multiply the 2 on the outside to make 20 root 2. He's done. Now the root 10 goes to both. So the 10's an insider, so it'll multiply the 2 inside. And then the root 10 multiplies the regular 10, so that's 1 10 on the outside, 1 on the inside. Is that good? See what happened there with the numerator? Now in the denominator, the 4 root 2 goes to the 4 root 2. The outsider multiplies outsider. 4 times 4 is 16, and 2 times 2 is 4 on the inside, and then 4 root 2 multiplies 10. The 10's an outsider, so it'll multiply with the 4, 40 root 2. He's done. The minus root 10 goes there and there, so that'd be minus 4 root 20. Oh, wait a minute. I'm blowing this problem, aren't I? How dumb of me. Let me back up. This is really dumb. Sorry to waste your time. Let's come back up here. I really blew this. This should have had a root on it, shouldn't it? It's supposed to be exactly the same as the denominator. Yeah, let me just go to a fresh screen here. That was not good. So 2 root 2 plus root 10 over 4 root 2 minus root 10. I get that one right? Yeah, okay. Alright, so here we go. Sorry. Let's multiply now by the exact denominator. Let me get it straight this time. Root 10 over 4 root 2 plus root 10. There we go. Alright, so now it's exactly the denominator, opposite sign in the middle. Okay, here we go again. So this multiplies this. Remember, outsider with outsider, insider with insider. So 2 times 4 is 8 root 4. Then he goes here. The 2 and the 10 are both insiders. He's done. Now he goes here. So that'll be 4 root 20. Those are both insiders. The 10 and the 2 multiply as insiders. And the goes there, and that's root 10, plain 10. You can make a root of 100 if you want, but that's just going to be plain 10. Now in the bottom, the 4 root 2 goes there. 4 times 4 is 16 root 4. The 4 root 2 goes there. The insiders, the 2 and the 10 multiply to be 4 root 20. He's done. Now this guy goes to both. He goes there, and the 10 and the 2 insiders multiply negative 4 root 20, and he goes there. They're both insiders. Negative root 10, positive root 10. Negative times positive is negative root 10, plain 10. Okay, these cancel, as they always do. So what does that give me? What is the square root of 4? It's 2, huh? 2 root 20 and 4 root 20 is 6 root 20 plus 10. Just bringing that down there. Over. Okay, root 4 here is 2 minus 10 equals. This will be a lot of steps here. Now, 8 times 2 is 16. Yeah, that's 16, add 10. Well, maybe I'll take it slower. So it's 16. Now, what's 6 root 20? Yeah, here, I'm going to have to go to another screen. On the bottom, that's 32 minus 10. So 16 and 10 is 26 plus 6 root 20 over 22. 32 minus 10 is 22. Let's go to a fresh screen. We need a little bit more work there. 26 plus 6 root 20, or 20. It's supposed to be 20 over 22. right? Right. Okay, now, this square root of 20, he breaks down. We have to go further with him. He's 4 times 5, 2 times 2. So the square root of 20 is 225, 4 times 5. 2 2's in, 1 2 out. So he's 2 root 5, isn't he? So this becomes 26 plus, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the 6 in the front. So 6 root 20. The 6, you should have a, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this very well. This problem is just a little bit longer than I expected, honestly. I tried to whip it out quick. So 6 root 20, there's a 6 on the outside, 2 2's and a 5 on the inside, right? 2 2's in, come out and hit the 6 that's out there to make 12 root 5. Does that make sense what happened? The 2 2's inside sent 1 2 outside to multiply the 6. So it's 12 root 5 over 22. Now, can we simplify that at all? Well, yes, it turns out, remember the Costco problem, that these are added, so you have to do all three of them. Are all three of them? It's a package deal, right? The pluses and minuses, glue them together, make them a package deal. Are all three of them divisible by something? Yes. All three of them can be divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. So that gives us 13. Here we go. 13 plus 6 root 5 over 11. There we go. It's a long problem. Got rid of the root from the bottom.